What's up guys, another little intro on this one. So last time we got the engine out, this should be the interesting week. So we should be able to get the head off and have a little look and see the carnage that may or may not unfold in there. It's looking mixed so far. Obviously we had the video previous to the last, so we got the bore scope out, and there didn't seem to be any absolute catastrophes in there. You know, the pistons look fine, the bores look fine on the face of it, but the evidence we saw in the last video kind of suggests that something bad did happen, as does that lack of compression. So this is going to be the only real way we find out, and that's to whip the head off. I'll be so glad to get the engine, which this camera is currently sat on, up on the stand, out the way, pack the crane away, because I've already smacked myself on it so many times and it's really painful. So without further ado, first thing I need to do is split the engine box down, and then we can get the straps back on the engine, get that bolted up to the engine stand I've got, and then we can start stripping off the remaining ancillaries, hope that we remember where they all went, and get the head off. And it's going to be interesting. I think maybe that's where the marginal increase in viewerships come from, is this mystery, if you want to know. So let's do it. Too bad. It's much easier to take a gearbox off when the engine's out of the car than it is in it, I'll tell you. So that's the box there, it's off there. Little top tip that I picked up. Not all of the bolts that hold on a gearbox are the same length or even the same size, so just draw yourself a little bit of a map on some cardboard like this, and now when it comes to putting it back together, I know exactly which bolt went where. So that's a little not even semi-pro tip, but you know, pro tip for you. I now need to get some bolts of this size that will go into the gearbox holes to hold it onto those mounts there, get it on this stand, and then we can have a proper look and whip the inlet manifold, exhaust manifold, etc. off and get that head off. That was a bit of a bastard, really. Bastard. Didn't particularly enjoy it. Obviously, the way of the world is that engine stand legs are exactly the same width as engine crane legs. So that was good. If anyone knows how you're actually meant to do that without struggling like I did, that's probably a really smart way of doing it, but it's on the stand. Time to start whipping off all of the ancillary bits and pieces. I think get the manifolds off, and then we really will be in a position to get that head off and see what's buggered. So let's do that. Pretty sad. My phone ran out of memory because I'm still absolute rookie and filming on my phone, and it ran out of memory while I was stripping everything off. More not so pro tips. Bagging stuff up. So I've been bagging up bolts so I actually know where they've all come from. Engine mounts, inlet manifold, flywheel, exhaust manifold, etc. Just makes it easier when I put this thing back together. So we're now in a pretty familiar scenario from the first video on this. To get the head off, it's looking like you got to whip the cams out. So to whip the cams out, obviously this cover's got to come off, and in doing so, what I'm actually going to do before I do any of that is just check the timing, make sure it hasn't somehow skipped a tooth or something weird like that. That would be a result, although I'm pretty sure that's not going to be the case. Get this cover off, check the timing, and then we'll whip the cams off, and then it's going to be that real moment of truth. But yeah, shame we didn't see the rest of the engine strip out. Not the end of the world. I'm pretty sure no one's too sad that they didn't see the time lapse of me whipping off that final engine mount and the inlet manifold. Gotta say, still dead impressed with how these Toyota engines go together. Nothing yet, I need to touch some wood, but nothing yet has been too much of a pain. So I'm going to go and eat some food, and then we shall be back at some point. I mean, we'll be back imminently if you're watching this video to continue. It's all getting quite exciting now, getting a bit technical. So yeah, wicked. So that's that theory out of the window. Turns out you just have to turn the engine over a lot to get it to line up. But I've now turned it over, and as you can see, that's lined up. That's lined up with the little white mark dot. That's lined up with that. And if you imagine that the crank cover was still on, this is supposed to be out by a tooth. And you can see the dot there, and that's out by a tooth, half a tooth. So the timing has not slipped, which is kind of a bummer. So off comes the head. Let's try and do that. I've got about an hour left tonight to try that. So to do that, got to whip off the cam caps, making note of where they came from so that they can go back on from where they came from. Whipping the chain off, pop out the cams, and then a few other bits, fuel rail come off in this stupid earth. And yeah, once the cams are off, there's a sequence which I have found, which you have to undo the head bolts in to stop you bananaing the head. So I'll do that and we'll have a look. How unencouraging. Looks like we do still have some bendy valvey boys. No one likes bendy valvey boys. Let's go, sadly. Go. We'll give him a little sniggle. So I posted up on Instagram about this. It is definitely not ideal stripping an engine down in this garage. Obviously I do a lot of welding, grinding, etc. in here, and that means that the environment's not good for engines, which do not like swarf. That's for sure. Unfortunately, or whatever, I'm fortunate enough to even have a garage, but it's what I got, and it's what I'm going to work with. I'll take the best care that I can. When the door opens, probably not the best idea, but it's bloody warm. And let's be honest, the engine at the moment is absolutely lunched. So really, at present, I don't have too much fear about making it worse. Big moment here. There it goes. Or not. There we go. Whew. Got a bit of weight. Well, okay. Okay. I think the head gasket might have shit itself. Genuinely might just be. It's full of like shit. But there is evidence on every Has it been cooked? That there that you can see hanging down is the drive belt. Like the auxiliary drive belt, drives the alternator, etc, etc. So that's obviously given up the ghost. One would assume at the same time as all these other issues have happened with the engine and what have you, because you're not going to get very far without a spinning alternator. And we're back. As you may remember from last time, as detailed in that video, the auxiliary belt went. And how I didn't realise this at the time was just one of those silly things. Driven by the auxiliary belt is this little nugget. That is the water pump, and without one of them, this is going to be getting mighty warm. So the auxiliary belt went, this stopped turning, and as a result, let's have a little ganders. So the head itself is, you can't see anything, but I would hazard a guess, looking at the way all of this is. So this is, I'm assuming, where the coolant's got super hot and gone gelatinous and gross. So I'll have to find a way of cleaning that out. If anyone has any helpful hints and tips, let me know. If there's any particular product that's good for getting that shite out. The bores themselves feel alright and look alright. There's nothing, a bit of a score there, but they feel okay. this, I'd hazard a guess that the head is bananaed. And you remember from the compression test, there was a little bit of compression on this one, and absolutely nothing there. So the head could well be bananaed like that, and you can kind of see, I think it leaked here and here, and then definitely around here, so much more in the centre, which I guess tallies with the head having a bit of a bend in it. I'm really speculating on this one. I'm not 100% sure myself, but you know, we're learning. I'm learning. An expensive lesson, to say the least, but it's interesting. So the head definitely is going to need a skim. That's, you know, common practice if something overheats like this. So we'll have to get that skimmed. That's not too bad. I have spoken indirectly to a couple of people. I need to make a few more calls around, because depending on how hot this got, looks like quite, I don't know, maybe the rings are buggered, which is obviously not good. Don't want the rings to be buggered. I'm a bit worried about that, but no, I think that's all right. It's actually smooth. It's just marked. So that is where we're at with this. It overheated. That's the mystery solved. In some ways, that's not the end of the world, you know. Could definitely be a lot worse. I think it's probably preferable to having a load of bent valves, because that could have completely trashed the head. Maybe the head is trashed, depends how warped it is, but the cams turned okay. It seemed to turn okay, at least. So it's probably not too warped. But the rings being gone is a bit of a concern, because obviously that means that we have to rebuild the bottom end as well. So anyone who's got any experience with that, anyone who can offer some insight into that, really welcome. Comment below, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and after all that, I'm quite glad at least we now know what happened to the engine, even if we don't know yet quite how to sort it out. I need to make some phone calls next week. In the meantime, I'm going to strip the rest of the car out, so I'll get the loom out, which is the other sort of key bit, and get that in here, out the way. So I'm starting to accrue the bits for the rest of the build, and we'll start maybe looking into a couple of the other sort of more tedious details, which I'm sure is what everyone wants to hear. But until next time, we've solved the mystery. Now we've just got to combat it. Leave me a comment, leave me a like, please subscribe. It's really, really motivating. There's been a bit of an influx lately, and it's been really, really good for me. So, yeah, till next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next week.